We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university.
Really,
my question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis.
Folks, you're about to see a textbook example of how Washington works when politics collides with reality. Representative Ilhan Omar walked into this hearing believing she had a slam dunk. Her target was Education Secretary Linda McMahon, and her weapon was a rescinded $37 million fine against Grand Canyon University, a faith-based school. From the opening moments, Omar came in aggressive. She framed the issue as fraud, borrower defense, and student harm, pressing McMahon to admit wrongdoing and commit to immediate relief. The questions came fast, stacked on top of each other, designed to force a yes or no answer to issues that simply don't work that way under the law. But Linda McMahon didn't blink. Instead of reacting emotionally or playing to the cameras, she slowed everything down. She explained that the Department of Education reviewed the facts, examined the accusations, and determined they didn't hold up. That's not favoritism, that's due process. And the calmer McMahon stayed, the more frustrated Omar became. Interruptions followed. Repeated questions. Demands for instant commitments. When that didn't work, Omar shifted tactics, dragging in Trump University and unrelated controversies in an effort to change the narrative. But again, McMahon refused to speculate or posture. She made it clear she would follow up in writing, with verified information, not political promises. By the end of this segment, the contrast...
The gentleman, I recognize now the gentlelady from Minnesota, Ms. Omar.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here with us. Is it fair to assume that you are aware that when a student loan borrower is defrauded by a school, that there is a provision in law called the borrower defense?
Yes, I am.
Okay. It is a straightforward concept. A student should not be forced to repay loans to schools that lied to them. We know that millions of federal grants and loans go out the door while students are left with education that is not worthy. So I was actually surprised a few weeks ago when your department quietly rescinded $37 million fine that was placed against Grand Canyon University. Can you explain why that happened?
Let me think for a second. Let me review my notes on that because there were a couple of things I wanted to make sure I covered with you. We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university. My question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of it, but I will look into it further and get back to you.
And you'll give me back a writing?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Because we know that, you know, the president in whom you serve had a fraudulent university called Trump University, and he himself settled 3 lawsuits before becoming president. We know that there are roughly 1.4 million borrowers who have been approved for a borrower defense discharge and are still waiting for that process. How are you clearing out that backlog?
In terms of the borrowed defense funds?
Uh-huh.
There are lists of that. I'll be happy to get back to you with those numbers.
Okay. And while those students wait, can you give us a commitment that you are not going to collect that debt?
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that as to what the situation is. And
I don't understand how that's a difficult question to say yes to. They've been defrauded. They are waiting for relief. While they wait for their relief,
well, if
they shouldn't have to pay back that debt.
Well, if they've been defrauded and it's been adjudicated that they've been defrauded, then I will get back to you as to what the time frame is and why there's a holdup if there is.
Okay.
I'm not sure as I sit here right now.
Wonderful. There was, I know that you've been questioned a lot on IDEA and its funding. I won't relitigate those questions. I just have two particular questions to address, or two areas to address. We know that the IDEA, that you have gotten rid of the legal team that guides the states in implementation. How are you going to rectify that?
I don't know what you mean by we've gotten rid of the legal team. We have had some reduction in force of
There was a
members.
firing of the entire legal team.
Well, we have other lawyers in place at the Department of Education, and we are
The
fully...
entire team that was for IDEA has been fired. So how are you addressing that?
Because we have other lawyers who are in place that can handle those things. And as I mentioned before, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements.
Well, I do believe that firing hurts the implementation. We also know that you have gutted the Office of Civil Rights when there is already investigation backlog. How are you going to fix the discrimination claim cases that are out there?
Well, there are, excuse me, there are cases that we're looking into. And again, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements in terms of OCR. We also have a task force.
There is a backlog. There are a lot of
There is a backlog
There are a lot of
because we
kids in our schools that are waiting for relief. When you get rid of the people that are supposed to carry out those investigations, how are you to assure that those kids will not continue to be harmed? We are talking about so many situations in where kids are being discriminated against, and you got rid of the people that investigate those investigations so those kids can protect themselves from from discrimination.
Well, we still have a...
As the exchange continued, the gap between performance and leadership became impossible to ignore. Ilhan Omar pivoted from student loans to staffing cuts, civil rights investigations, and internal department restructuring. She accused the Department of Education of gutting legal teams and harming students by creating backlogs. Linda McMahon, once again, stayed composed. She explained that statutory requirements were still being met, that capable staff remained in place, and that the department was continuing its work. No panic, no outrage, just facts. That response clearly wasn't enough for Omar, who doubled down, raising her voice and repeating claims rather than engaging with the answers. And that's where this hearing revealed its true purpose. This was no longer about education policy. It was about optics, about creating clips, about projecting outrage. Omar wasn't listening. She was performing. McMahon wasn't performing. She was governing. In Washington today, that difference matters. Leadership isn't about who talks the loudest or interrupts the most. It's about who understands the process, respects the facts, and refuses to bend the truth for applause. Love her or hate her, Linda McMahon showed up prepared, disciplined, and focused. Ilhan Omar showed up looking for headlines. And by the end of it, the audience didn't just hear the difference, they saw it. So ask yourself, do you want leaders chasing viral moments, or leaders willing to do the boring, responsible work of governing? Because in this exchange, only one of them showed up to lead.